Hello, Internet. Gino, that Pinguino Greco, here again with another episode of Deep Listens. And today we are going to be discussing Life is Strange, Before the Storm. And this is exciting because we played Life is Strange. It was a strong Game of the Year contender 2 years ago. And now we are going to get to see what happened before Life is Strange, back when life was normal. And to discuss this game, I would like to welcome yet again Pete, the moody one, Busby. Pete, the moody one, Busby, is he?
Yeah, what's going on, everybody?
Hello.
I'm glad to be talking about this game. I have some mixed feelings about it, but I'm excited to discuss it with my fellow panelists. So I have a fun fact and a shout-out for today's podcast. Fun fact is a brief one. Elephants are right or left tusked. Have I used that one before? I don't think I have.
No, you haven't.
Good. Yeah, so an elephant will use one tusk more than the other, and eventually it gets worn down more. So you can tell which tusk an elephant prefers based on its level of wear.
Huh.
Yep. And my shout-out for today's podcast, I would just like to urge everybody to go out and listen to Lyndon Johnson Ordering Pants. This is a family podcast, for the most part, so I can't describe what happens when Lyndon Johnson orders pants, but I encourage you to take a listen. You'll find out a lot about what sort of person Lyndon Johnson was.
So all I know about Lyndon Johnson, other than like his obvious civil rights achievements, and did he start Vietnam or did he continue It wasn't great. His Vietnam stuff,
as I understand it.
Yeah, not great. But I also know that he used to like take either staffers or interviewers. He would have them talk to him while he was taking a shit or like bathing, because that put them in an awkward position and put him in a position of dominance.
Yes, yes. You will learn more about this exact topic when Lyndon Johnson orders pants.
Great. So, with that fact burned into our brains in a way that we cannot forget, we are also joined, as always, by M, the passionate one, Palladino.
Hey guys, happy to be here. The phrase Lyndon Johnson orders pants is probably a code word. I think Pete just activated some sleeper agent.
Somewhere out there, someone's dying.
Calling you out, yeah. An assassin has just been activated in our listeners, and that's going to be fun to discuss.
Well, Pete, I hope you're glad. Now Nets fan for life is going to go out and do his dark task, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just an agent. I can't be held responsible for the revolution.
Excellent. And that other voice you hear is a special guest, Noelle, the brainy one, Greco. Hello.
Ooh, I'm the brainy one. That's cool. Hi.
I figured
Good
since
to
it's
be
a
back.
since it's a high school thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so I'm the nerd. I get it.
Sorry.
No, it's cool. I like being a nerd. Well,
Excellent.
hey, what's up, podcast? Good to be back
Yep.
to discuss the game
Had to have you back.
that I also discussed, but the original one.
Exactly.
Woo!
Now I'm wondering, I didn't give myself a nickname. What would I be in this?
You're the jock.
I was going to say the princess.
That's
Ooh.
good.
You're the
too.
Molly Ringwald, really.
Mm-hmm.
I could be the Molly Ringwald.
Or the weirdo
I could.
because of all the drugs.
Yeah, could I be the wild card?
I mean, sure, I guess.
Excellent.
Let's take a 20-minute break to do a Which Breakfast Club member are you quiz.
I'm sure
And then
BuzzFeed can
regroup.
assist, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before we discuss Life is Strange Before the Storm, just a reminder, the Giant Bomb Community Endurance Run is rapidly approaching. It will be from April 12th to 14th, and we will be playing a bunch of games to raise money for charity. The charity is Pencils of Promise, a charity that builds schools, trains teachers, and sends kids to school in developing nations. And this year we are trying to raise $10,000 for Pencils of Promise.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Ambitious.
Which is roughly what they need to build a classroom for one of their schools.
We're sending those kids to school whether they like it or not.
Exactly. That's why it's so expensive. You have to catch them first.
You have to get huge butterfly nets first.
Exactly. Little do you know that it's kind of like Ape Escape. You need to catch all the kids first. And actually, most of the expenses are in catching the kids.
Mm-hmm.
But then they get smart, and it's a good cause. It's a real charity. Please donate. We've got a bunch of cool events happening. I'll be speedrunning Magic Pendule. There are also cool events happening. So, like, we've got someone's playing Final Fantasy IX, and it's not me.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some other good events that are coming up. So just check it out. The overall schedule will be updated on giantbomb.com over time. You can just go to the forums there, and there's a community endurance run announcement thread pinned to the top of the forums. So it is being updated a few times a week as we add additional events. And one of the donation incentives we have from this show, Pete, what are you doing?
So I am trying to once again do an absurd, deep literary analysis of something, what would we call it, frivolous? So last year was My Immortal, the fan fiction text. So I'm once again soliciting suggestions in exchange for donations, of course, from our listeners. So if there's something you would like me to analyze, I'm more than happy to. Just make it readable in the time we have remaining, and other than that, and not horrendously, racist, sexist, homophobic, or some other awful thing like that, and I'm more than happy to do it.
Yes, and we will find a segment where Pete will teach us the real truth, like with My Immortal.
Mm-hmm.
So that will be fun. That'll be awesome. And again, it's going to be from April 12th to 14th. And if you want to donate, you can do so at fundraise.pencilsofpromise.org/GBCER IX, because we use Roman numerals. Because, Final Fantasy. So it's going to be fundraise.pencilsofpromise.org/GBCER, Giant Bomb Community Endurance Run, IX9. So go ahead, go over there, donate. You can donate to the team if you don't want to donate to anyone in particular, or you can donate to individual speedrunners. We each have our own goals established, and those goals will mostly be corresponding with the donation incentives that each person is individually running. So just go ahead, donate. It's a great cause. It's going to be a lot of fun. Every year it's always great. So
does everyone give to Pencils of Promise? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Proceed. It is one team all raising towards one goal of $10,000.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Now it makes more sense to me that it's 10,000.
Yes, it is not me particularly.
Yeah, I thought that. Okay, go ahead.
Though my goal is 2,000, and that seems still ambitious.
Yeah, but not as ambitious as 10.
No. Yeah. So this will be fun. It's always a good time. And we do not have any emails for the show today, but if you want to get in touch with the show, you can do so at DeepListensPod on Twitter, deeplistens.libsyn.com. We've got our comment sections, and deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com. That's the best way because emails are easy to read. And so, without further ado, Life is Strange Before the Storm. M, you picked this game. What is Life is Strange Before the Storm?
So, Life is Strange Before the Storm is the prequel to the classic, not so classic, Life is Strange. The premise of Life is Strange is you are Max Caulfield and you have powers to time travel. Life is Strange Before the Storm follows your friend from childhood, Chloe Price, as she meets this other character, Rachel Amber, who some bad stuff has befallen in the main Life is Strange game. And this is the setup to those events.
Yeah, Rachel is missing at the outset of Life is Strange, and her disappearance is kind of the propelling event of the original game.
Yep. Yeah, and Chloe is kind of a impetuous 16-year-old. She is very like punk attitude. She's going to concerts in the middle of the woods, kind of in a teenage rebellion phase.
And her father passed away.
Her father has passed away, yes. I think that's a year or two before the events of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this game, it's interesting that as a prequel, it kind of gets to fast forward through a bunch of the character development that Life is Strange had to have. So I feel like this game's kind of a little bit punchier. It just gets straight into things. Like, you know who if you're playing this game, you probably know who most of these characters are. So it just jumps straight to Chloe walking into a concert in the woods.
There is, I mean, I'm not going to call this a spoiler or anything. There is still the same sort of incredible attention to detail, though. Like, pretty much anything in the environment can be looked at and will give you some sort of exposition on the character, the area, the story, just something that's going on, if you want to take the time to basically click on everything.
Yeah, and generally, Chloe will have a little internal monologue that will add a little bit of character to everything. Like, it's not just describing. It'll usually have a little bit of her personality tinged onto it, even objects that seem like, I know what that is. She'll have her little jokes. Some of them are funny, some of them less so. But she's a teen, so she doesn't always hit with her jokes. So, like Em, you mentioned, the original game is focused largely on time travel and time manipulation. Max can kind of make decisions, and this game is very decision-focused, kind of like a Telltale narrative-driven game. But unlike those games, the original game, you made a choice, and then you could rewind and try the other path, kind of. And you could see what the consequences were down the line from the decisions you made. And part of the game was kind of making a decision, advancing till you couldn't get any further, then rewinding and using the information you had learned in a way that Max, originally could never have known a fact. You could go down a bad dialogue tree but learn a fact at the end of it that you could rewind and then have a good conversation with that person.
Right.
Whereas this game, they do away with all of the time rewinding, and instead they replace it with a dialogue system. Do you remember what the name of the dialogue system is?
Backtalk.
Yes. Backtalk. Ugh. What is backtalk? Anyone?
So, would anyone else like to take it?
No, man. This is your
I
show.
got you. Okay. So backtalk, while you are talking with NPCs, sometimes you get into a situation where Chloe has basically it's forcing her way through the conversation with smart aleck responses and such. So in a backtalk, you have usually like 3 sets of dialogue options, and if you choose the correct option throughout each one, you will get what you want at the end of it. And then usually your opponent, I guess, they have less ways of getting their way in the conversation, and you can exploit stuff such as the words that they use, or if you have information from the environment, you can leverage that in order to get a leg up. That's the backtalk system.
That's basically like the most teenager thing you could do.
Yep.
Yeah, you take the last thing they said and you just twist it just a little bit, and then it's like, ha, gotcha.
Yeah,
and then
you meme a little bit, and then
it almost seems more supernatural to me than time travel.
Yeah,
but like this would actually be like an effective rhetorical strategy to get what you want.
The fact that it works in a lot of situations where it definitely shouldn't.
Yes, preposterous.
Yeah,
they're just like, you got moxie, kid.
Yeah.
The very first time you do it, she's trying to talk her way into a party in the middle of the woods, and there will be spoilers from here on out. Like, this is the very first scene in the game, so I feel not bad about it, but we're going to be free and loose with spoilers from here on out. So
also,
go ahead.
I also feel like we're probably going to spoil Life is Strange, too.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, so, like, be warned.
be aware.
It's very hard to
So-
talk about this game and not talk about what happens in Life is Strange.
Yeah, basically just pause, go play those 2 games.
Please do.
Yeah.
They're good.
And then come back.
But the very first person you talk to when you learn the backtalk system, first off, I didn't know what the backtalk thing was at first. So when I met the first person where backtalk was necessary, it's indicated by like a piece of dialogue, like a normal dialogue choice, but then it would have like little shouty symbols next to it in speech bubbles. And I was like, wait, is this just like an option where I yell at them? I don't want to cause a problem here. Like, is this the start a scene button?
Yep. Basically.
So I avoided it. I actually wandered around the opening area for like 4 or 5 minutes just looking for other things I hadn't interacted with yet, because I was like, well, clearly I want to have a pretty passive run here. I don't want to cause a scene at this bar in the middle of the woods. But yeah, you have to start an argument with the bouncer, and you convince the bouncer by owning him lyrically.
Yep, you're cool, kid. Go on in.
Yeah. He's like, you're tough. What would happen if someone tried to mess with you, kid? I would kick his ass. Yeah. Great point.
Damn right you would.
If you want to try to stop
me.
She
also, is very, brags about her physical abilities without having any.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire thing.
She has very shrimpy arms. She's always wearing tank tops, and there are no muscles anywhere to be seen.
Pete,
and she's talking to a jacked bouncer, too.
Yeah, Pete, as someone, as our gym expert, Pete, how would you describe Chloe's physique?
I think unimpressive would probably be the opposite word. Like, couch-oriented, perhaps. I mean, they like for jiu-jitsu, everybody always tells you size doesn't matter. But anybody who says that is a liar who's never done jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, so Chloe...
Or it's also maybe small.
More likely than not, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Chloe, not only does she have tiny bird-like limbs, just these little pencils, but she doesn't carry a weapon on her at any time except a lighter that she uses to light cigarettes.
Or dinner candles.
Or dinner candles. At one point, I had her try to climb a thing, and she couldn't climb it. And she's like, damn cigarettes.
Yep. She's like out of breath for a good while after that.
Yeah. So she is not a physical specimen necessarily, but she talks her way past a bouncer, and she goes to this party where a band that she wants to see is playing live, and is it fair to say that the concert venue is a drug den?
Yeah, it's like a dilapidated farmhouse or something, right?
It's a dilapidated farmhouse where like needles are just kind of out.
Yep.
And there's a knife dug into one of the walls, and like there's a guy getting just shaken down for money out front. So it's not a great place. She didn't go to a great place.
No.
And she gets into trouble when she bumps into one of the other concert goers, who is not a nice guy.
Dun, dun, dun.
She tries to go into the standing room. Yeah. She goes to the standing room. She gets bumped. That causes her to bump someone else, and that spills his beer. And are people this terrible when beer gets spilled on them? As someone who's never spilled a beer on someone.
It's certainly
it's not fun.
Trope.
No one's happy to have their beer spilled on them, but I feel like they're usually,
it's
pretty
more understanding about it.
Yeah, pretty easygoing as far as well, you fucked up, but it's fine, I guess.
Yeah, because she goes to watch the concert. She can't get onto the floor, but it's a barn, so there's an upstairs. So she climbs up some rotted out boards and tries to watch in the loft area. And then she gets the two dudes who she bumped into follow her up there because they're going to teach her a lesson about bumping into them.
Yeah, she'll never be clumsy again, I guess.
Yeah. And she is going to get stabbed real bad. And
we don't know how bad she was going to get stabbed.
It might have been a pleasant stabbing.
It might have just been a little one.
Is there a doctor recommended amount of stabbing?
Just lightly stabbed.
If you have an iron deficiency, maybe.
Stab, break it off. You'll be fine. It's a supplement.
Mm-hmm.
So she gets rescued by one of her classmates, Rachel Amber, who has also snuck out to go to this awesome party. And she has great hair, I'll say, in the opening scene.
Yes. And then it doesn't come
nice.
back again, and I'm kind of disappointed by that.
It's a real shame. Rachel shows up, calls these dudes out, and then gives you a window to either attack or run, which is your first major choice in the game, I guess. Did you attack
there was
or
another
run?
one.
What? Was there a third option?
No, sorry, there was another choice before. It was whether or not you steal the money from the t-shirt vendor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't steal the money.
Yeah.
Oh, I stole it.
Oh.
I was really leaning into the Chloe that I knew from Life is Strange. It's like, would Chloe steal this? Probably.
I leaned the opposite direction, and I was like, I think Chloe wants to be better than the Chloe she was in Life is Strange.
Yeah, I was thinking she's barely Chloe yet.
Mm-hmm.
She's still learning to be Chloe. So she
well,
would not
how will
necessarily...
she learn?
Yeah,
without practice.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at this point, she's like stumbled into this place, very clearly has no plan, very clearly doesn't know what she's getting herself into, and tries to buy a t-shirt when she's got no money. So
no, she just kind of tries to take one.
She doesn't seem very financially responsible overall.
Well, it depends on how you approach the situation. If you talk to the guy first, then you try and buy one, but you have no money. But if you just like reach for the t-shirt, then he's like, get out of here, you don't have any money.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just steal it eventually anyway, I think. I think that's one of the choices that you have to make.
Oh, I did not steal. I didn't interact with T-shirt Man very much.
Yeah.
I just thought it would be fun.
Could you end up with a T-shirt?
Yeah, you do end up with a T-shirt.
Of theft in the first 5 minutes of the game.
I didn't end up with any T-shirt. I didn't get any cool T-shirts.
You didn't get a wad of money either.
I didn't get any money or any T-shirts.
Well,
money.
Yeah, you dropped the ball.
See, this is just an example of how much depth there is to the choice in this game. You can end up with a T-shirt, you can end up with money, you can end up with nothing. Yep. You choose.
Choose your own adventure.
But
exactly.
You get to choose whether you attack these dudes or whether you're going to run when Rachel makes a distraction. Who attacked?
I attacked.
I don't remember if I attacked or not, honestly.
I ran like a coward.
Yeah, I think I ran away.
You knee him in the balls if you attack.
She seemed so confident in her fight.
I would have remembered that.
Yeah. I expected more from her, to be honest.
There was not
when
much.
I was like, attack, I was like, you're definitely going to do something cool, but not just a knee to the balls.
See, I looked at her
it's
scrawny...
a classic, but...
I know, but I saw her scrawny little arms and her little bird legs, and I was like, attack's not going to go well for you. He still has a knife.
She very easily could have gotten stabbed during that maneuver.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you run, when she's running away, Rachel throws a bottle at one of the dude's faces and it cracks on him.
Oh, that's way cooler.
Yeah, that seemed way more effective than Chloe, whatever Chloe could muster.
Yeah.
So you and Rachel escape this stabbing. That guy leaves you alone for the rest of the night, and you go down and listen to the band till the end of the concert, I guess?
Yeah, he's just like,
he follows you.
Upstairs.
And then, he follows you, and then Frank is like, dude, chill out.
Oh, right,
yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
Frank, our guardian angel.
Frank, the benevolent drug dealer.
Yeah.
Yep.
That would be a great title for a D&D character. What a class.
When we do our
chaotic
D&D,
good.
Yeah.
Be a druid.
D&D episode, we'll have Frank the benevolent drug dealer as one of our characters.
Of course. So Frank saves your ass, and then you and Rachel party for the rest of the night. And after that, you go to school the next day. Well, you break curfew, and your mom's not thrilled about that. And when you come home, Chloe is kind of in the midst of her house falling apart a bit. Like, her dad's been gone for a few years. Her mom is
her dad's been dead for a couple of years. It makes when you say gone, it makes him sound like he just like left.
Well, yeah, he left
went to pick up
permanently.
cigarettes.
He left the world.
Yeah.
He went to a farm upstate where there were lots of other dads where he could run around
play with.
So he he passed away, and his mom is her mom is a waitress, so times are tough right now, and she's dating an asshole.
Asshole, douchebag, asshat.
Yeah.
What else does she call him?
Step douche.
Yeah.
Or step dick. You have options.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's not he's a former military guy who's just very strict, very uptight, and Chloe doesn't like it one bit. And
Very much puts his nose where it doesn't belong, like in her upbringing.
Yeah.
Like, at this point, let me just note that this is just her mom's boyfriend. Like, this is not, at this point in the game, he isn't living with them. He isn't engaged to her. So he really has absolutely no say in Chloe and her upbringing or anything like that. He just inserts himself into it.
Yeah.
Is there any indication how long they've been dating at this point?
Not that I found.
Really.
I don't know if they
can't
ever
be very
addressed it.
long.
Yeah, no, certainly not long enough, however long it's been.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
I mean, because logistically, the dad died 2 years ago. I'm assuming she would take like a year to not date.
Like the next
At
day,
least.
she didn't even like him that much.
Over it, thank God. I was waiting.
The old ball and chain.
Now I'm free.
Thank God for that truck. Right?
She's just been calling him to like bring her lunch every day, just like in the hope.
Hoping.
One day.
Hey, honey, just so you know, they got rid of the stop sign at that street, so you can just go straight through.
Just curious. Don't even look.
Yeah, that's the real meta plot of Life is Strange.
Solve this murder.
Yeah, she was trying to upgrade from like a loving guy who kind of took care of her house to this guy who's unemployed, ex-military, who's just all up in her daughter's business, giving her terrible advice about parenting. Like, all of his advice is just the most jackbooted way of handling any problem.
Yeah. And she's just like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know where her common sense went in between when she's talking to Chloe and when David talks to her, but there's definitely a disconnect.
Every time it's like, you need to go through your daughter's shit.
Search her. Search her now.
You need to lock her in her room until she's 21. Great point, David. I should do that.
And then
Thanks,
you should
David.
definitely add another lock because then she'll be able to drink, and no one wants that.
So did you, when you first kind of are getting ready for your first day, did you go into Chloe's mom's room and find her picture, her family photo?
Yep.
What did y'all do with the family photo?
I put it back.
Yeah, I put it back.
Yep, I put it up. Because, of course.
Well.
Yeah, because why wouldn't you?
How dare you, like, move all of the pictures and put them down? And she, like, is pawning her engagement ring or getting it appraised.
Yeah.
So times are tough right now. There are condoms in one of the side drawers, and that's just terrible.
I
didn't find
Yeah. I like how she just
How old's her
backs up
mother?
and like.
How old's her mother?
Yeah.
She's probably in her late 40s, early 50s, probably.
Yeah, she
They
looks
still
good.
have sex then.
You can still have sex regardless.
Yeah.
Sex knows no age.
Oh, like why would she use condoms?
Yeah.
Got it. I thought you like meant
I
like
could
why
explain.
is she having sex? I was
No,
like,
I got some.
she
Yeah,
can.
there are many reasons to do that.
David's got stuff. We don't want to talk about it.
David did some hard living.
Yeah, but David, I think, like, that whole chasm that gets formed in this game, I think you can see it pretty early on. Like, everything you find that David has touched, like, Chloe immediately hates. And you have a conversation with Chloe's mom. Chloe's mom just says, like, give David a chance. And he drives you to school because you've missed the
Oh
school
wait,
bus.
can we hold on for just
Yes,
one second?
go ahead.
One of the most like heartbreaking things for me in that like scene when the mom's room is, once again, spoiler alert for Life is Strange, but when she sees the ring and she was like, oh, I'm supposed to have that if I ever get married, and that just like broke my heart a little bit because I was like, you're never gonna get married because you're gonna die young.
Or everyone else can die.
Or you kill everybody else.
Yeah, okay, but like you die young.
Yeah, that's kind of sad. And
Either that or you don't get the ring anyway because it's
Yeah, the
destroyed.
ring's gone forever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just appreciated seeing this house kind of in transition because when you see it in Life is Strange, it has been Davidified, and everything about Will, or Chloe's birth father, like
I think
everything
that's
about
it.
him has been pretty much scrubbed out of the house. And so seeing it while there's still this kind of struggle for what the dominant male figure in this home will be, it's interesting to see because Chloe is clearly pushing back, and you can push back to varying degrees, but you can actually see her slowly losing the battle because her mom is lonely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Her mom needs help. I mean, like, straight up. It is what it is.
Yeah. So Chloe gets a ride from David. Here's another one of the big kind of decision points for this chapter of the game. You can decide to just kind of try to get along with David, or you can tell him off.
Well, you could sit there and let him talk down to you, or you can talk back.
Yes. So what did people do?
I talked back.
I just wrote it out. I was like,
Yeah.
Dave's a tool. Like, let me just get out of here.
Yeah, that was my approach too.
I told him off.
Yep.
Fuck
Fuck David.
It's like we're related.
It's almost like that.
I was very much a Chloe of least resistance.
Yeah,
For the most part.
same.
I was Chloe of least resistance on some things, but I took a firm anti-David stance.
It's a reasonable stance. It's a solid call.
Valid. Yep.
Yeah, so
I
he
think
doesn't.
he just pissed me off so much, like right before, because he was being so condescending.
Yeah,
That I was like, you know what, fuck you.
I will. So let me stand up for David just for a moment. Say what you will about the man. Impeccable mustache. I mean, you can't argue with the facial hair.
Yeah,
That's true.
I appreciate that most of the characters in this game, their hair has at least multiple layers to it, to where it looks like human hair. But David looks like a G.I. Joe figure. It's just a solid block.
Oh,
I appreciate
also, there's the ability, since I stole money, there's the ability to put it in your mom's purse once you realize how much financial trouble she's in.
Oh.
So I put it in her purse. So really, it was a Robin Hood situation.
Way to go.
Yep.
I should have robbed those people.
Yeah.
Exactly. What were you thinking?
So telling David off, he doesn't like it. And I guess if you don't tell David off, he treats you like shit.
He gives the same speech he gives the whole game, and then drops you off at school.
Awesome. So once you get to school, I liked that they introduced a bunch of new characters for this game. Like some of the classmates that Chloe runs into, I don't think show up in the original game, like Mikey.
Yeah.
And Steph.
Mikey and Steph and Elliot, right?
Yeah.
That's his name?
Yes.
Elliot. Isn't there some...
We're going to talk about Elliot.
Yeah, Mikey's brother, who's a jock.
True.
Yeah, so all of these characters, did everyone play D&D?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
I didn't even realize that was a choice. I assumed you had to play.
Well, you could say no, but I feel like that's mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was fun.
What kind of monster would not play D&D?
Exactly.
This is a pro D&D podcast.
Yeah.
We take a lot of hardline stances,
Yeah.
and this is one.
Did everyone make it through the encounter?
What do you mean?
I think my characters died. Like
Yeah, my character
we
died.
beat the dude, but died in the process.
Oh, I died, but the Mikey lived.
Yeah.
Same.
I think that's how it has to happen.
Yeah.
One of you has to die.
I think it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my character got impaled, and then I,
Yeah.
with my dying breath, cut a bracelet of fire resistance off. But
Yep.
in my version, Mikey's character got his feet cut off.
Yeah.
That was pretty
Yeah,
great.
same.
Yep.
Which was pretty hilarious, not gonna lie.
I put all of my points into fire. What an idiot I was.
You should have put more in feet.
More speed.
Yeah, so one of the other big inflection points after you play D&D, you run into Nathan Prescott, who famous
first you
dirtbag from the first game.
run into Victoria Chase.
Oh, yeah. Victoria also dirtbag from the first game.
Yep. And also, apparently the Vortex Club at this point, is like a fundraiser, like charity group.
Yeah, I think that's
blows
always
my mind.
That's always their thing. Like that's their front. In the same way that it's a fundraiser charity thing. In the same way fraternities at colleges are fundraiser charity things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
we're
don't
raising money
understand
with this
fraternities.
party, and we're just
We're serving all this alcohol to all these teens.
yeah,
So that
exactly.
other
But it's
children won't drink the alcohol. You're welcome.
It's for Lou Gehrig's disease.
Mhm.
Yeah, Victoria, did everyone give her the wrong answer to her test?
I didn't mess with her
No.
homework.
Yeah, I didn't mess with her homework either.
I messed with her homework because fuck Victoria Chase.
Well, that's why I didn't intervene in the next decision tree you're about to describe.
Oh.
I was like,
Oh.
Nathan gets whatever he deserves.
Yeah, Victoria, if you give her answers, you spell out fuck you in periodic table.
Yeah.
So she gives her all of these answers for elements, and then when the teacher reads it, she's like, oh, Victoria, I see. Did you listen to the security guard's mixtape?
Yes.
Obviously.
That thing was so good.
It was
It
good.
actually was really good.
Yeah,
I sat there and I listened to the whole thing because I
Same.
was like, this is fire.
he's the lead singer of a band called Pisshead.
Yeah. They got to work on their branding, but other than
Yeah.
that, the song was so good.
It was
But their
legit.
bumper sticker game is on point.
I mean, you don't forget a band name like Pisshead.
That's
Like,
true.
You don't.
very
You know what?
recognizable.
It's a really bold choice naming your band Pisshead when you're a security guard at an upscale boarding school.
Mm-hmm.
They also get like so much notoriety through the 3 days
They do.
Yeah.
Well,
that
they were
this
on the
game
come up.
takes place.
They were on the come up before you gave him positive feedback.
Yeah, but he was like, "Oh, I would like want to get it on the radio," and then like a couple of hours later to a day later, it's on the radio.
This is the new hot single from
Because you
Pisshead.
told him it was
Yeah.
really good, and then he was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna... I wonder if you tell him if
Thank you,
it's
teenager.
bad. If you tell him it's okay, is it like not on the radio the next day?
I don't know. It'd be very
I don't
funny
know.
if you told him it was bad and he was like, this girl I met told me I couldn't do it. But then I listened to the fans instead of the haters. This song is called Fuck Chloe Price. So yeah, that's another very important choice,
Yep.
whether you want to encourage Pisshead or not. But yeah, you run into Nathan Prescott, who's getting bullied by a jock.
I Drew.
True, it's Michael's brother, yeah.
Yeah, the D&D boy's brother. Nathan is being a dick because Drew's family is in bad financial...
Because that's just his brand.
That's just
Yeah.
his default move.
He's a monster.
Yep.
So he's trying to bully like the star running back of the football team because they're poor.
Well, Drew is technically speaking, Drew is bullying Nathan because he got on the football team basically because his parents paid the coach off to get him on the football team. And Drew was like, well, either you could be into this artsy shit or you could be a football player. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah, he's exhibiting
'Cause,
toxic
you know.
masculinity against a privileged asshole who's unsympathetic. So
Yeah.
Against a toxic male.
You basically just had to pick one. And I was like, well, I know how Nathan turns out.
you know that scene from the new Godzilla where they say, let them fight?
Yep.
I haven't seen that one.
No.
That's pretty good.
There's Godzilla monsters fighting each other,
Nice.
and people are trying to intervene, and one guy's like, no, let them fight.
Fisticuffs.
I kind of wanted to do that, but I felt like I had to protect. I intervened. I tried to help Nathan because
Well,
I wanted.
that girl just kept like bothering me.
Mhm.
Like, oh, you need to do something. I'm like, bitch, why don't you do something?
You know how this is going to turn out with Nathan, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, no. Like, oh, you haven't played the other game? Let me see on this one.
I thought this time I was going to be nice to Nathan, and maybe he'd be less of a sociopath.
Yeah,
Oh.
maybe it'll change the other game in my Steam library. Like, go back in and it's completely different.
Yeah, he's content in that one.
Yeah.
In the new version.
Rachel Amber's
Yeah,
still
he's just
there.
chilling.
Yep.
I'm going to fix that game by playing this one as chaotic as lawful good. But yeah, you can help him or not help him. Does anything change that much? It seems like I helped him, and he was still an asshole.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, nothing changes.
He still just said, like, fuck you.
Yeah.
So
Like, I don't
girl,
need your help. Like, okay, then why did you take it?
The girl who had a crush on him she changes depending on how you treat Nathan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's still like friendly to you, even when you don't help him. Like, she's mad about it. So I don't think it's like a lasting issue.
But what happens to her? Because she's not in the next one, right?
Nathan kills her.
Yeah, Nathan happens to her.
I was gonna say, did something happen in between? She was actually the first victim. She was just very soft spoken, so no one talked about it.
Yeah. When you finally resolve this enduring conflict, you try to go to school, but you run into Rachel Amber. You have every intention of going to chemistry class, but then Rachel Amber shows up and says, "Hey, we hung out last night. Want to ditch school together?"
Yes. Yeah. And prior to this point, Rachel Amber has been basically perfect in everybody's eyes.
Yeah.
She's cool. She's smart. She's funny. She's pretty. She's the lead in the play. You know, she's that girl from high school teen movies and such.
Yeah, she's the one that's like super popular and also super smart and also super nice.
Yeah.
I'm into D&D. I'm the leader of the cheerleading squad, and I'm into D&D, and I get straight A's in chemistry.
Yes, that is Rachel Amber.
Yep.
She is the manic pixie dream girl.
What?
That's a term for basically every character you've ever seen Zooey Deschanel play.
Except for Elf, because he just one-ups her magic pixie.
Well, he is a straight-up elf, so makes sense.
That's fair.
The only thing is they couldn't give her blue hair because Chloe ends up having the blue hair, so she has her little, like, it's like a feather.
Yeah.
She's got her feather earrings.
Yeah, she's got her earrings that show her individuality. It's all good stuff.
Also, Chloe carries a marker everywhere and graffitis things.
Yeah.
And I put graffiti in quotes because mostly she writes things. She just, like, writes words out.
Yeah, I cut that out.
She calls it street art. And I feel like she doesn't understand what street art is.
None of it's good.
I did like seeing that she's left-handed.
Yeah, so is Rachel.
Nice.
Yeah, they're both left-handed.
I didn't even notice that.
But yeah, her street art is mostly like Victoria Chase smells like farts.
They're like bad.
Boom, roasted.
Yeah, the choices that you can pick for what she draws are also usually not that engaging, but that's fine. Like, it seems like a thing that Chloe at 16 would do.
Yeah.
It relates to her character.
She thinks she's much wittier than she is most of the time. But Rachel tells her, "Hey, let's ditch school," and Chloe's like, "Sure, I don't need a good reason to ditch school, and you're the coolest girl in school, so let's hang out."
Also trying to get in the feels.
Yeah, also Chloe is like very
hey, girl.
Enamored with her at this point. Rachel gets changed in front of her, and Chloe's like, "I don't know where to look or put my hands." And,
So you do get a choice. Rachel asks you to get her belt. You can either throw the belt to her over the changing wall, or you can hand it to her. Did anyone throw the belt over the wall?
No.
No one would ever.
That's not even listed in the at the end of each chapter. You get like the choices
because it's not a choice.
Because it's not a choice. Because no one would ever choose it.
You pick it in the game, just like, seriously, come on. What are you doing?
I was half expecting, if you did pick it, for her to just like say like "ow" and it just hit her in the head.
Yeah.
Like, Rachel loses an eye, and the rest of the game she's in an eye patch.
She gets a matching black eye for yours.
Turns out that was the most consequential choice in the whole game. And no one knows it because no one's ever picked the throw the belt over option.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chloe's very clearly starting to get the feels. And I don't know, did you look at all in Chloe's letters to Max that she fills out on the pause menu?
Yeah.
Yes, which I must say is so sad.
Yeah.
Yes. So
That she like, sorry, go ahead.
no, all I was going to say is Max, the main character from Life is Strange 1, one of the key pop points of that game and this game is that she's moved away to Seattle, and as soon as she moves away, she basically loses contact with Chloe. And you can see their texts, their text history
Max
when you
is
first
just
start the game.
straight up bitch. I hated her.
Yeah, she
in this one.
ghosts. She ghosts for weeks and months at a time with Chloe, like, desperately reaching out. And Max knows that Chloe's dad just passed away, and she just breaks all contact. And so these letters are basically replacing the journal that Max has in the first game. And they basically are letters that she will never send to Max because she doesn't think that Max will ever talk to her again. But in there's
Because
a section...
Max is cold-blooded.
Yeah.
Yep.
To that point, did you
Go
guys play the bonus episode?
I did not.
No.
No, I didn't get to far well.
All right. We'll talk about that later then.
Okay.
Cool. So, yeah, I was just going to say in one of the letters to Max, she mentions that she was, like, fantasizing while masturbating about some character in, I think, a character in Blade Runner.
Yeah.
And then she says, like, at first
Ooh,
I was
Blade Runner.
thinking of Deckard Cain, and then she starts thinking of some female character in Blade Runner instead.
Well,
She's like, I
probably
wonder if
the
that means anything.
replicant.
She's like, nah, probably not.
Probably not.
Moving on.
Let's not worry about that one.
Let's not analyze that too hard.
Yeah, so the game, before you even have the Rachel situation, like, heavily foreshadows it. And if you didn't play Life is Strange 1, you might not know that that's a thing. But yeah, Chloe is gay, or at least bi or lesbian, so it's unclear, necessarily at this point in the game. But
I mean,
she's
she
definitely
seems-
attracted to Rachel.
Yeah, she seems
She's a-
exclusively attracted to Rachel.
Yeah, she shows very little interest in any male characters.
Yeah, I was going to
Or
ask,
Elliot.
right? Like, I completely blew off Elliot because
Yeah.
It
But,
seemed like
that's
there
not
was...
a possibility. Like, you can't even go down that road.
I don't think so. Because I told him that I would go see The Tempest with him, and
Yeah.
like I was being friendly and shit, but it always turns into like kind of fuck you, Elliot.
It just
Yeah.
seemed like in their texts before Rachel's in the picture that they might have been a thing.
I think they were
So-
just close friends, and he probably read into things.
Yeah, that's what I couldn't tell if they were close friends or if they were like a little thing before that. But
Which did anyone go? This is sorry in advance, but did anyone go into his room?
Yeah.
No.
You can
Read
go
his
into his
notebook?
room.
You
Yeah,
can
we
go into
know.
his room and
Like a
read his
room on-
notebook, and his poems are creepy as shit.
Yeah, he's
Damn.
And they're
weird.
100% about Chloe.
Fuck, I gotta go back.
Yep.
okay, I'll have to check that out. I didn't
Yeah.
want to go in his room because he seemed creepy.
Yeah.
Turns
It
out
seemed
he
like
is.
he-
Exactly why you go in his room.
Seemed like he would just be there all the time, just like I wonder is
Hey,
Chloe's gonna
Chloe.
come in
just collecting
here.
her hair.
Yeah, it's basically Helga Pataki from Hey Arnold.
Uh-huh.
You just find a shrine to Chloe. But yeah, once Rachel tells you, hey, let's ditch school, you immediately ditch school with her. You catch a train. She says, let's get out of this town,
You
period.
just hop a boxcar.
You hop a train, and Chloe's like, okay, I guess I'm never going back to home.
Yeah, she goes from, like, perfect girl to hobo very quickly.
Yeah, that was a hard turn. I was like, this seems, y'all met yesterday. Though Rachel seems very cool, and I could understand Chloe, who at this point, like, step douche is in the picture, and her mom, like, there's nothing for her at Arcadia Bay anymore. She's pretty much given up on school. Like, I can understand why Chloe would project all of these emotions onto Rachel and any opportunity to get out of town. It was Rachel being, like, reciprocating that seemed odd to me. But as soon as they are alone on the train, they immediately hit it off. Like, it's very clear, and knowing what I know about Life is Strange, the original game, I started feeling a bit, how do I even put it, like, just
We
a
don't
bit
know.
somber about the whole relationship, because in the first game, you find out that Chloe, like, loved Rachel very seriously, and you're seeing now, because in that game Rachel's not around, you're seeing that they were such a good match. You know, they work together so well. They hit it off immediately. Like, they have very similar interests, very similar goals. Rachel's very outgoing and charismatic, where Chloe can be a little bit awkward. but they complement each other because Rachel kind of acts all the time, but Chloe's very straightforward. And it's like, wow, these two should definitely be together. And you can see it almost immediately. And it's just, it felt so sad knowing where it was going.
Yeah.
It made it hard to enjoy in a way.
Yeah. And it also even more solidified that the Chloe Max match didn't make sense.
Yeah, it makes the Chloe-Max relationship from the first game feel a little bit more like Chloe on the rebound. Like Max taking advantage of Chloe in a really vulnerable place.
Yeah.
Or
She
even
killed
just
all
like
those people for her.
I
or
feel
even
like...
just sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I feel like Rachel sort of took advantage of Chloe a little bit in the beginning. Is the impression that I got. And
Definitely.
so the whole Rachel, Chloe, Max is just a whole mess of, like, Chloe using Max and Rachel using Chloe, and it's very teenage.
It's a lot of emotion.
It's very high school.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Rachel just... It seems like they definitely hit it off, and Rachel might be feeling something too, but also because Chloe's kind of got a branding as a delinquent, Rachel grabs her immediately and is like, let's get out of here because you're a delinquent and you'll be fun to hang out with. And basically anytime you're not going along with what her idea of fun is, she kind of snaps at you.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when you refuse
got
to
a
steal
temper.
the wine.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, or you just kind of
let's-
say, maybe let's not.
Yeah.
Because she goes anyway.
Yeah. Like, I'm wondering if that is more what happens before those events, because there is one big thing that occurs between,
Sure.
like, jumping off the train and Rachel getting snippy, which is she sees her father kiss a woman who is not her mother. So I put it as, like, yeah, she's not dealing with that very well.
Yeah, it's just, I guess I was reading it because I didn't know what was wrong. I knew she saw something when she saw that person kissing, like clearly something was up. But the way she was projecting it, it was unclear if it was because something, Chloe wasn't being sufficiently fun or what.
Right.
I immediately figured, that's definitely her dad.
No.
I was like, she just hates public displays of affection. So much.
Yeah.
Fuck your
PDA.
love.
Yeah, but once she sees her dad kissing someone who's not her mom, she gets very upset. Did y'all manage to, like, help her through that? Because I pissed her off to the point where, like, she left at a certain point.
Yeah,
I pissed her off too.
Yeah.
I assume she just does. Like, it's
I think
I
that's
think
necessary
that
for the
has
story.
to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's a big chunk of time.
I
Yeah.
don't think there's anything you could have done.
Yeah, you steal some wine. You end up at the junkyard. That's a key location in the original game. You try to help her out, help her with her feelings. She's very clearly upset. I tried, like, directly comforting her and, like, offering her a bat so that she could wreck stuff in the junkyard because that would be fun. But she did not like that.
Yeah.
She's-
She also, like, you can either choose to, like, give her space or call her out. Which I'm like, call her out sounds a little abrasive for the situation. So I was like, I'm going to give her space. And I sat, and when you say give her space, you just sit, like, kind of near her. And then she snaps at you for, like, not leaving her alone. Like, I'm not talking to you.
I said, I think I called her out, and she snaps because you're talking to her. So she's in a bad
Either way,
place.
she snaps.
Yeah, and Chloe feels like she just ruined what could possibly be the first relationship of her life.
Yeah.
And I think that it is pretty authentic that these two characters who very clearly don't have a lot of romantic experience, like, become infatuated very quickly and start hanging out. Like, teenage life, at least from my experience, that seems pretty accurate. Like, these two people getting really infatuated, started hanging out, don't really know what they're doing, and everything's super heightened because it's their first time doing any of it.
And also because hormones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you take your bat and you smash a bunch of stuff, and you actually end up finding the car that your dad died in. in the junkyard,
Mm-hmm.
which that I thought was a very interesting twist and an interesting layer to add to that location.
Yeah.
Because it adds this additional context that in the future game, it makes a little bit more sense. Like somehow everything Chloe has come to appreciate or love has gone to die in that junkyard.
Ooh.
And it just makes that junkyard, because it brings out a lot of, it's kind of Chloe's main location other than her home.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of her creativity is there. Like the only points where her graffiti looks like art are in that junkyard for the most part, and when she tags the bathroom.
Yeah.
If you decide to tag the bathroom leaving school.
I did that one.
You didn't?
Oh,
Oh, she just draws all sorts of shit all over the girls' bathroom. It's great.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's
an episode
getting
2.
ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, the junkyard is where she feels the most herself. Like she fixes up a car. Like she does a whole bunch of stuff in that junkyard, and yet she can't be there without seeing the emblem of her dad passing away. And in a way, it's like one of the only places where her memory of her dad is just allowed to be without her mom tamping it down.
Yeah.
It's just sad that it's this tragic location in the first place. And you also have, I think, one of her first dreams. You have a dream when David drives you to school, but she has dreams over the course of the game where she's talking to her dad in her car.
Yeah, in that car. So
In that car, moments before he gets hit by a truck. And she kind of works out her issues with her dad, or this imagined version of him.
Yeah.
So from there, Chloe eventually leaves the junkyard, finds Rachel, and they reconnect. And they start hitting it off again. And I think you can hold her hand at this point.
I don't.
Or
No.
maybe it's later. You comfort her. You comfort her, and then
No, if you say comfort her, she just like waves you off.
Oh, okay. Right. Yeah. So you try to help, but you
And she said,
eventually...
no.
You convince her that she needs to, she explains what happened, that her dad seemed to be cheating on her mom.
Yeah.
And she takes your lighter and burns a picture of her dad, from a day her dad saved her life almost.
Mm-hmm.
And then she burns it next to
All right, she just had a broken arm. Let's calm down.
It was a bad break.
You don't even know that.
She was in the middle of the mountains.
With him.
Yeah.
It was on a trail. She wasn't
She was in
actively climbing a mountain. It was a hike.
Yeah.
She was in the jaws of a bear, and her dad saved her. He said to the bear, "I'm a district attorney. I'm going to need you to let my daughter go, or else." But yeah,
there will be legal repercussions.
I know a lot of bear law.
Yeah.
There's this tree in the center of this park where her dad was kissing someone, and she sets his picture on fire in a trash can underneath this 100-year-old tree, and then kicks the dumpster still on fire into the tree, and it sets the entire forest on fire.
Like a giant forest fire. Not just a little one.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Super
containable.
Yeah.
Engulfing
Mm-hmm.
the town, basically.
So one thing about this instance, do we think Rachel has some sort of supernatural? Because she screams and the wind picks up, and it seemed very connected. Because it happens twice, and
Yes,
that's what causes the forest fire. And I'm wondering if that's a real subtle thing, or if I'm reading into it because I know Life is Strange 1 has that supernatural aspect.
There's no sort of story relevance to it, though, is there?
Yeah. No, I don't think so. But I was
I
just
think that was
interested.
just an exclamation point on it.
Yeah.
A visual exclamation point.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that was something I had the same read of it, Em, and since it never came up again, I thought it kind of didn't matter one way or another, because nothing seems to. If Rachel then subtly used powers throughout the rest of the game, that would be a thing. But it could be just an emotional accent, or maybe she does have a little bit of power, but it doesn't seem to matter for the story that they're telling.
Right. Okay.
Also, Rachel is very destructive and angry. And, like, her only emotion that she goes to, it seems like, is anger.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things where she's a teenager and she doesn't know how emotions work yet. And her go-to one is just angry. Like, sad isn't on her spectrum yet. It's like she's happy or angry, and that's about the range of it.
Yeah. That's definitely her palette right now. And she's represented, like, in one of Chloe's dreams, she's on fire. So there's this symbolism that the game is constantly using. She's always wearing red. She's referenced with fire, like even her makeup and her costuming when she's in the play. And it's clear that, you know, she's got this high level of passion, this high creativity, but also she's got this edge to her where it can run too hot and be dangerous.
Right.
And they play that up throughout the game pretty much. So in the second episode, you basically suffer the repercussions of the first episode. You ditch school, and Chloe, up until now, she's been skipping school, but she always says she's sick. This time she walked onto campus and then off campus, and it's very clear that she ditched school. So you end up in the principal's office, and you have some options. Rachel tries to lie for you, and you can let her. But if you let her, she's going to suffer the consequences, which involve not getting to participate in the school play, which doesn't seem that bad, honestly, as a punishment. For
And losing
school.
her job as an administrative assistant.
Yeah,
In
losing
the
her kiss-up position.
Which we never actually see anyway, so in the grand scheme of things, what does it matter?
Yeah, she's cool enough. She'll be fine. And then the second option is Chloe can take she can take the fall, because it really is Rachel's fault. Like, Rachel's pretty much telling the truth, and you can instead decide to take the blame because you're a fuck-up. Or at least in the eyes of the school, you're a fuck-up, so you can use that to your advantage. And if you do that, then Rachel gets to participate in the play, but you will get expelled. What did people choose?
I took the blame.
Yeah, I just assumed she was so into Rachel that, like, that would be the play.
Yeah.
Same. So apparently, if you do not take the blame, Rachel can't participate in the play, which I wonder how that makes the play scene play out.
That's a huge part. Like, that's a very long scene in the
I'm
story.
assuming that she somehow gets, like, maybe she intimidates
She would have
Victoria enough into giving Rachel back the part.
Yeah.
She has one of her back talks.
Maybe Victoria ends up sick, because some stuff happens where it's clear that Victoria might have been able to become the person who was the lead of the play if you don't take some actions. Maybe otherwise, like, Victoria is supposed to be the lead and you have to sabotage her so that Rachel can perform as the understudy. I don't know.
Yeah.
But either way, you can take the blame, and if you do so, you get expelled from school, but kind of whatever, because, like, Chloe doesn't care about school even a little bit, and is kind of on the ropes anyway, academically and socially, so it seems
also
like not that big of a
actively
loss.
hates it.
Yeah,
the only thing I felt bad is that Chloe's mom was, like, really going to bat for her, and once she got kicked out, I feel like that kind of went to waste, and I felt bad about that.
Yeah, and it's clear that financially, the fact that Chloe's able to have a scholarship to go to this school, like, her mom sees this as her way out of this cycle where her mom is trapped, like, as a waitress.
Are there
because she
no
doesn't have a
public
degree.
schools?
Not as good as that school, apparently.
Yeah, but it's like, oh, she's out of this school, therefore she's a high school dropout and isn't going to school anymore. Which I'm pretty sure all places need to have a public school.
They probably have a public school, but I think Chloe is, like, actively not trying to go to school. So she basically drops out and accepts it in our storylines. And then David comes down on you and tries to, give you shit.
He, again, puts his nose where it does not belong.
So, So David will ask you to basically dump out your pockets because he thinks you're doing drugs. And you can decide to, empty out your pockets or not. What did y'all decide?
I
Told
did.
David go to hell.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I told David to go to hell.
I think this is the one time I was like, no, David, I'm not doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't have drugs on you, so it kind of makes sense that you'll be like, "Ha, you idiot! I don't have drugs."
That's
but
what
also,
I did.
like, fuck you for asking.
Yeah,
Wait, what
but I
happened?
felt like then it would be like, oh, since I don't have it, Mom's going to side with me, and then she's going to be mad at David.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember, though, because you look for a joint in your locker.
You don't
Yeah.
find it. There's a message.
that's what
Like
it is.
Elliot,
Yeah, there's a note.
Oh,
Elliot
okay.
leaves you a note.
Right,
that
you're right.
It was
lists to
Justin,
drugs.
not
Oh,
Elliot.
sorry, my bad.
How
I
dare
forgot.
you.
I couldn't remember what happened to the joint.
I'm sure
Did you
Elliot would have
take
been
your
like,
joint out of your locker?
"Yeah, Justin did."
Oh.
Skateboard guy. But I feel
Well,
like
Well, they
Elliot.
have the locker next to her, so.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like if it was Elliot, he would be like, "I can't believe what Rachel's doing to you. She's making you smoke weed, reefer, cigarettes."
Or he would be like, I know that you already smoked part of this, and I wanted to collect your DNA.
Yeah.
I wanted to
So I
lick the
took
saliva
this.
off of it. Yeah, so you can blow off David, and if you do so, I think you then just kind of go to the junkyard, right?
Either way, you go to the
Yeah.
junkyard.
Yeah, and
Because he's like, oh, I'm kind of sorry-ish, and let's just start over. And then you're like, sure, and then he still is being a dick, and then she just closes the door and walks away.
I
because
said,
then they
him.
tell her that he's moving in. And then she's like, fuck this shit.
oh, okay. Because for me, he said, "Let's start over," and then I said, "Fuck him," and I don't think he said that he's moving in. He might have said he was moving in, and I still said, "Fuck him," like twice as hard.
Yeah. It was like, fuck him, but also fuck Mom, because she was like, I can't believe you chose him over me, which was also a very heartbreaking thing, because I feel like their relationship could have been, or in parts where David isn't a part of it, their relationship is great.
Yeah.
Like, they butt heads, but it's not anything that's like huge problems.
Yeah.
Like, they definitely love each other.
Yeah.
But
And
then
David just has
makes it like toxic.
exactly. So you go to the junkyard. You try to start fixing up a car. Like, you find a car that kind of works, and you start making it your own a little bit, but it won't start. And then Rachel finds you because you're going to run away. Like, the plan is you're going to run away. You're going to go to You can pick where you want to go.
Oh, I said road trip.
Yeah, say you're going to go. I said California. I said LA. Because it seemed the most doable.
Yeah.
But, of course, Rachel's, like, living her good life, so she keeps saying we need to run away, and Chloe's like, well, are we doing it or not? Because I just got expelled from school for you. And I have nothing. And Rachel gives you, like, a bag of clothes so that you have something to wear. Gotta say, Rachel's clothes way better than Chloe's clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you would expect.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, do you run into Frank?
I think you have another dream first.
Well, you have
Right.
another dream in the car.
Yeah.
I forget which dream it was. It's hard with the dream sequences.
Yeah.
They're all very similar. Because
Yeah,
they're
they
all
all-
just like you talking to Chloe's dad in the car.
Yeah.
And then him getting hit by a car.
Yep.
But I think at that point, then Frank comes to the junkyard, right? And he enlists you.
Oh, wait. Is that the one where he's roasting marshmallows on a
Yeah,
fire,
that might be.
on a burning car?
And his face is all burnt.
Yeah.
It's the fire. It's his car on fire.
Mhm.
And he's roasting marshmallows on it, and his face is all burnt. And he says, "Watch out for fires because they, they're dangerous." And
Yeah.
it's like your girl, like the girl you like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Metaphor.
Good tip.
The metaphor was so strong.
Yeah.
Like, we get it.
The forest fire she started is a metaphor.
Because it is so beautiful and it draws you to it, but it is dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Whatever could you be talking about, William?
Pete, do you want to complain about this?
No, I mean, this isn't like my largest problem with the story. I mean, I don't really expect subtlety necessarily. Although, like, I am curious, like, why her father's face was burnt. Like, if it's supposed to be, like, a lingering guilt over the forest fire they started. Because, like, he was in a car accident. I don't think they ever mentioned, like, the car didn't burst into flames or anything, did it?
I think it was her guilt. I think
So
that's
I'd imagine.
the
But, like, it's not as
manifestation
if,
of it.
like, it never
Because
seems like there are repercussions for the forest fire.
Yeah.
She should feel guilty, but...
There
Yeah,
are
but
repercussions
Rachel
on the
doesn't.
firefighters.
What happens to
Like,
the
Rachel 100% just doesn't give a shit. Because Chloe brings it up a couple times.
Yeah.
And Rachel's just like, whatever, moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the I would say that in the third episode you can find firefighters that are like injured from smoke inhalation.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there are consequences, but none of them befall Chloe or Rachel directly.
It seems like we're getting, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but in discussing this game so far, it doesn't seem like Rachel's that great.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Like, she seems like a kind of bad
I mean,
person.
not yet. She doesn't change. Sorry, go ahead.
No, all I was going to say is at this point she doesn't seem like a great person yet. She seems really self-absorbed and really just full of her. She thinks she's really smart. She thinks she's really cool. She thinks she's hot as shit. And she doesn't care about how she affects the people around her. But I would say that her relationship with Chloe is so good for the most part. Like, their chemistry is really good, and they're clearly attracted to each other, and so it masks a lot of those problems for Chloe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm like, you say not yet as if there's going to be a turn somewhere.
Yeah, she doesn't, like, change her personality.
No, she's always kind of shitty.
Yeah.
But I think they're both kind of shitty.
Yeah, maybe
They're
teens
shitty
are
at
just kind of shitty.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I was going to say teens are kind of shitty and don't understand the consequences or ramifications of what they're doing.
Maybe right.
And she's smart and charismatic and like has all of these positive personality traits that would be attractive to someone. Mm-hmm. So you look past a lot of those shortcomings because everyone in this game, if you're going to try and date someone who's got a level head on their shoulders, good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The D&D girl seemed okay.
She did.
Yeah.
She did. And she was also very single.
Yeah, she wouldn't be interested in me, but it's fine.
No. Yeah, Chloe had a chance, apparently.
Yeah.
But yeah, you end up enlisted by your drug dealer to go get money that jock guy from the first episode owes. He owes $1,000 in ecstasy pills. Or no, oxy? He's dealing drugs.
Yeah, it's oxy. They're pain pills.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's dealing pain pills to other football players.
Chloe also owes Frank, the drug dealer, like $170. Is that the number?
175, yeah.
Yeah, and he like doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, we're fine.
Whatever. I'm benevolent.
Yep.
Yeah, he basically says, if you get my $1,000, I will absolve you of your 175 and give you a 10% finder's fee.
Not a bad deal.
Yeah,
No,
honestly, because I didn't even ask for money. I was like, I'm not gonna shake down Frank. Like, Frank has done enough for me.
Frank's very clearly a drug dealer.
But what's it called? But then he just offers it. I'm like, first of all, you're bad at getting your money.
I'm a good negotiator.
You're not a very good drug dealer, honestly.
Yeah.
No, he's terrible at it, but
but he's nice. And baby
nice.
Papadoo. You
Yeah.
get to see baby Papadoo, and it's the cutest thing in the whole wide world. Their relationship makes me so happy.
His little puppy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Doesn't Pompidou attack you in the second game?
Yeah.
It guards some stuff.
Yeah.
I remember Pompidou being nice.
I think Pompidou, like, barks at you. I think that's the extent of it.
Yeah. He's trying to protect his
Frank.
his home.
Yeah.
So
I'll forgive
can't really
Pompidou.
fault him there.
Yeah, that's fine.
You leave Pompidou alone.
Pompidou.
Yeah, at this point, you go back to school. People seem pretty nonplussed by you being there.
There's a
And
few people who are like, why are you at school?
Yeah. There's a
Hanging out.
photo guy that's like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
But he's an ass.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And you basically have to talk your way past the security guard buddy that you have. And I thought that it was pretty great that you basically say that your uterus is on fire because you have to pee.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, sure, yep, that's how that works.
That's how lady parts are.
Oh, man, I'm so confused right now, Chloe.
Yeah.
And so you talk your way past him because he's an idiot.
How dare you? He's a wonderful
Sorry.
musician.
He's a great lead singer of Pisshead, but he's not the greatest thinker. So you get into the boys'
The
dorm.
lady parts are just so confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Apparently you can break into Elliot's room.
Biological fact.
Yeah. It is a biological fact. That is true, Pete. You try to break into... You can break into Elliot's room, and then you can see that he is a deep, deep creeper. But I stayed focused on the business. So I instead broke
business.
Yeah. I broke into Drew's room. You can root around his room. It turns out he's like trying to get to college on scholarships, football scholarships, and his dad is homeless. So he's trying to use that money to help his father. And once you take his money,
And his brother's also sleeping on
his floor.
his floor in a sleeping bag, which I'm assuming is not regulation.
Yeah. So they're in a bad way, and once you take the money, Drew and his brother show up, and they start questioning you. But then the alpha drug dealer,
The better, more, traditional, let's say, drug dealer.
shows up. He, I guess, also smooth talked his way by talking about his uterus
What a
past
shit
the security
guard.
guard. Yeah, it makes sense why they hire a new guy in the second game who maybe has military experience. But he breaks in. He basically threatens Drew, and you can decide whether... Drew tells you, I'll deal with the drug dealer. You just stay inside and keep my brother safe. And you have a decision to make. Do you want to give the drug dealer Damon Merrick, which is a good drug dealer name... You can decide whether to give him the money he wants or stay hidden. What did y'all choose?
I gave him the money.
I gave him the money.
I didn't have the money, so I didn't know what to do. So I stayed hidden.
Damon
you
will
didn't
show
have
up before
Drew's
you
money?
get the money.
What?
You didn't have Drew's money, the grand he stole? Or he didn't give to the drug dealers?
I don't think so. Did I
Oh, you
it?
have to find it?
I thought you have to find it. It's in
Did you?
a locked chest. You use Mikey's birthday to open it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well,
you
I
didn't have
still
the
stayed
extra
hidden.
money.
Just heard him being bloodied, and I was like, yeah, it's fine.
It's probably nothing. He'll be fine.
So what happens if you don't go out? Because, if you go out, then mean drug dealer man pushes Mikey, which it didn't look like a bad push.
No, but apparently his arms just shatter.
Yeah. On any contact, his
Yeah.
arms just break. It's like a broken situation.
Like, I'm watching it now, and he hits him in the
Glass
face, and then he
situation, sorry.
lands on his back, and at no point does his arm make contact with anything.
Just the shockwave.
Yeah.
He breaks his arm?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mikey does.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
I hid.
Yeah.
So, okay, because Mikey, I didn't think that Damon would go after Mikey if he took the money, but Damon's kind of an asshole, so that makes sense.
Well, he's getting the money, and before, basically, Mikey charges him to be like, get away from my brother, and he's like, nah, and like swats him away.
Heisman.
Everybody is
Let me-
very confident in their physical abilities.
They really are.
Except the football player who's a scholarship athlete to the University of Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
He's
he
just getting
somehow
his
got
ass
owned
kicked in the
very
hallway.
quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, so if you hide, Drew gets roughed up, and then to finish it off, he like breaks Drew's knee so that he can't play
no.
football anymore.
Oh,
I think I
a
would.
decision then.
Yeah, I would trade a Mikey broken arm for Drew's knee.
Yeah. Because
Yeah, but-
that's like a full scholarship that
Yeah,
he would
Mikey
just
can
be.
play D&D one armed.
Yeah. He'll be fine.
But apparently, doesn't Drew hate you if you let Mikey get
True.
hurt?
Drew hates you regardless.
No, he like gets angry, but then he like apologizes.
Drew's a dick.
We're chill by the end. Hey.
Well, Well, in my version, Drew has $1,000 extra dollars. So
but he has one less knee.
And
Yeah.
also no scholarships,
Mm-hmm.
Samantha and Mikey like me, though. I don't know.
which is really what counts.
We all make decisions in life.
Isn't
Yep.
it Stephanie? Is it Samantha?
Steph? Did I say Samantha?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my bad. That's a different... I think that's
Yeah.
the girl who has a crush on Nathan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sad girl.
Mm.
It was a very, like, Ophelia situation happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Nathan's crazy like Hamlet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she's, like, soft-spoken but still loves him regardless of his craziness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's kind of the section with Drew and Damon. I feel okay with the way it went for me. Y'all felt okay with your choices? I mean, Mikey getting messed up's not great, but
I mean,
Yeah.
none of the choices
I've
are good.
broke my arm a few times. He'll get over it.
Yeah, true.
Also,
Yeah.
it's not his knees, and he doesn't have like a football career ahead of him, so I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Stupid nerd doesn't need his arms.
He's got the other one. Don't be
Yeah.
selfish.
He's got his brain.
Mm.
He's a mathlete.
Yeah,
He'll
he
be
could.
fine.
He could still D&D.
Yeah, so before we actually move on to the next section with the play, I think we actually forgot in the junkyard, Rachel doesn't just bring Max clothes. They actually also
Chloe.
have a therapy session.
Hmm
Because they both severely need it.
Yes.
Yeah. Very much.
Noelle, as someone who
Gino.
has some knowledge of the mental health profession,
Mhm.
how did you
And
feel
needing
about their...
therapy, yeah.
That's not what I was...
I was joking, go ahead.
How was their therapy session from your semi-professional perspective?
I mean, fine, I guess. I don't remember a lot of the logistics of it, to be honest.
Well, one of them
They
just kind of laid...
refresh my memory.
Yeah, one of them just laid in the other one's lap and then just talked about their problems. And like Chloe would vent about... You can vent about a few different things. I think you could talk about the fire. I think you could talk
Yeah.
about
Getting it.
Chloe's parents.
hmm Yeah, I mean, they did a good job of just kind of listening and not really like inserting themselves into it. So I guess that was good. But other than that, I mean, they're two teenagers talking to each other. I feel like that's just like normal things that girls do.
Yeah. They just framed it as therapy, I guess.
Yeah, it's basically just like a normal conversation amongst friends that talk about their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
But
The
also,
truck
I
is-
would highly recommend therapy for both of them.
Yeah.
Well, as a man, I should say I don't know what it's like to talk about emotions and feelings with my friends. So
No.
Mm.
I'm not even sure what
Do you guys
emotions
want to
are,
now?
to be honest.
people keep talking about them like they're important, but I don't think so.
No, I've gotten by
Mhm.
fine without them.
Exactly. I find that it's best to bury mine deep down inside, and to
And then one day you'll die.
it's
Yeah.
this region,
And then they're gone.
this region of my psyche I call the hate chamber.
Oh, yes.
But that's only one emotion, Gino.
I call mine
What about
the
your sadness
fuse
chamber?
cage.
A huge cage.
So,
Get in there. Fight each other.
there can only be one.
Oh, boy.
But also, something that I saw, okay, because in the first game I noticed that Chloe had like medication in her medicine cabinet because when, Max is being totally normal and going through the medicine cabinet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
As you do.
And yeah, as one does. And she had medication for like depression and anxiety. And she doesn't have it this time. So I'm guessing somewhere between now and then is when she kind of started actually working on her mental health, or
Yeah.
at least seeking out some type of help. And I wonder if that kind of experience with Rachel and them both kind of like recognizing that therapy might be a good idea.
Yeah.
What's-
Actually,
that
I read in the letters to Max, Chloe totally says something like that. Like, we had a therapy session, it felt great. Like, I felt much better after having the conversation. And
Mhm.
like real therapy would probably be good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, good.
Do
Very
we-
Good note.
Do we know what the gap is between, I mean, this doesn't have to do with this game, but the next one. But do we know what the gap is between Rachel's disappearance and the events of that game?
I think it's only a few weeks.
Really?
No,
Yeah.
I don't
Or
think so.
months?
Oh, since her disappearance. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
said
since her
that. I was
disappearance. It's
thinking
3
about
years from the beginning of this game till that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably like a few weeks, I would think, because
Yeah.
Chloe has had time to like make signs and has been putting them up around the school. And I think people like know that she's been doing it. So it's been a little bit.
Gotcha. Oh yeah, I was just curious if that would have been the impetus for like her to be like, I need to do something, like, or else I'll just go, I'll have a serious breakdown. But I mean, for a few weeks, that might not have been enough time.
Yeah. That's what
potentially.
I was thinking too. But hopefully she did it sooner than that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Something that just sprung up. Chloe's supposed to be 16 in this game, right?
Yeah.
So she's
15.
15? Okay.
She
Well,
can drive.
Rachel's 15.
Can't she?
Rachel's 15.
Rachel's
I mean, not
15?
legally.
I mean, their plans to leave in the truck. Like, if neither of them can drive, that's a shit plan.
I mean, she physically can. I don't know if it's legal yet.
Okay. You're right. That's not something Chloe would be particularly concerned about, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. She just hotwired the car. Like it's not.
Well, like,
It's not like she's went out and bought anything.
excuse me, Chloe, but those plates aren't licensed to you. Chloe, you're not going to be able to unlock your car properly if you're only using a screwdriver to turn it on.
That's future Chloe's problem.
Yeah. Okay, so I thought she was 16, which would make the events of the regular game be her at 19, which I guess she could be old for a senior. Or
I mean, she'd get expelled.
but
I mean,
Yeah.
I just thought that her and Max were the same age.
Yeah, I think they are. So.
Okay, then maybe she is 15. I thought I could have sworn they said she was 16, but whatever.
I mean, maybe she just has an early birthday.
So after the events in the dorm, I believe you then go to the play, correct?
I think so.
Yeah.
And I have been waiting to complain about this so long.
Okay,
Biding your time.
Should we talk about what happens before the play first, or does your complaint begin before the play even
No,
starts?
it begins with the play itself. So if we can talk about what happens before.
Yeah, before the play, you catch Victoria Chase drugging Rachel's tea, and she says that
normal high school stuff.
yeah, there was like some sort of ancient rite of the Greeks that
the understudy would bring tea. So that and I didn't really think the Greeks drank much tea.
Yeah,
It's almost like that didn't pan out. Like it wasn't a well thought out plan.
Doesn't seem right to me.
Well, Rachel, it's an ancient Roman tradition that you bring a knife to stab in the back of Caesar.
I feel like it would have been more believable if she was just like, "Hey, I got you some tea.
Yeah.
Here you go."
As the understudy,
This helps your voice.
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Good symbol.
Well, as the understudy, I must break your leg, as is tradition.
That's why that's that saying.
Exactly.
Rachel was not happy with. I think Chloe, you have the option of. I forget if it's an option or if Chloe just says "good luck" instead of "break a leg," and Rachel, she's very upset about it.
Yeah, I think you just said it. Did everybody switch the tea?
Yeah.
I
No,
didn't.
I did.
I didn't.
But I made her drink it.
Yeah, same.
Ooh.
Basically, if you don't switch it, you kind of give Rachel notice, hey, by the way, something's up with it. And then she's like, oh, well, if you want, you should have it first. And then Victoria takes a sip for God knows what reason, and then passes out.
All right, so either way, I guess Victoria ends up drinking it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
So I guess I examined her bag instead of the teacups, and after I examined her bag, Rachel and Victoria showed up. So maybe you only get to examine one thing.
Yeah, maybe.
But they're
I think
muscle
that's an
relaxants.
Yeah, which I don't know why it hit her so hard
Yeah.
in 2 seconds. Because it should just be making her
Yeah.
a little drowsy.
They were
Like,
good.
oh.
They were horse
How
muscle
many did she put
relaxants.
in there?
Yeah, they're hardcore.
Jesus.
Yeah, so the play, Pete. How do you
my
feel
God.
about William
Oh, wait, hold
Shakespeare's
on.
The Tempest? Oh, okay. Go
Sorry,
ahead, Noelle.
just one thing. You also run into Nathan and his
yeah.
father,
Oh, yeah.
who is a swell guy,
Oh yeah.
is yelling at him because he wants him to do well in the play, basically, and
I
not
didn't really
embarrass
get
them. Yeah, it didn't make much sense to me why they would be so embarrassed by him, like, not performing in a play.
Because he's an asshole. Because he's the
Yeah.
asshole
Yeah.
father from every teen movie ever.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, but then he, like, Nathan, like, stamps off. Well, because basically you can confront him and be like, hey, maybe, like, don't be a dick.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do, he learns the error of his ways, and he becomes a much more loving and supportive father. And
Then it's like you get the new Life is Strange where Nathan isn't a dick anymore.
Yeah.
That's how you unlock that.
it's very exciting. They ship you the disc.
Yeah, I forgot before, but they actually have a statement in the little Max letter section. Chloe actually writes about how she feels like the moment with Nathan and Drew was like if she went back in time to kill Hitler, and maybe she would have had the opportunity to avert some other tragedy by just letting Nathan get pounded into the dirt.
Yeah,
Which
little
is a good
Gino.
callback.
That's nice.
Yeah, but then you can tell what's her face, the one that's hot for Nathan for
Right.
whatever reason, how to interact with him. And I told her, like, give him space.
Yeah, it's like get the hell
Like,
away from him.
Yeah,
Go
exactly.
As far as you
Don't
can.
go towards him.
I told her to comfort him
No. Why would you do that? He doesn't need comfort.
because he
He's a monster.
is, but maybe if
We have
I
to
sacrifice
fix it.
her,
He had love.
Sacrifice.
I sacrifice her to draw aggro, then Chloe can
Oh
live.
yeah.
She seemed interested and willing. So
She did seem very willing.
look, when you see a mousy face like Nathan's and just that amazing hair he's got, how could you not?
True.
Very true.
He only
All right,
complains.
Pete, go ahead.
Go ahead, Pete.
Oh my God, thank you. Okay. So I'm even going to set aside the absolute butchering of Shakespeare. Like the fact that they took it and they were like, no, we're just going to let these teens improv. I'll set that aside.
You
My
didn't like them riffing?
No, I did not like them riffing on Shakespeare.
I thought it was.
They
cute.
found the hidden depth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the director's just all over it. He's like, yes, I wish Shakespeare had been this good in the first place.
You know, I'm not going to say that director was great. He seemed like a hack.
He
Yeah.
did. But here's my larger problem with this, right? If you're going to put a play within a play, which is basically what this is, it should have some bearing on the action at large. It should tell me something about what's going on in the larger story between these two people. But what they picked, well, only when they like change it.
Yeah.
What they picked was The Tempest. Like The Tempest, at this point in its history, is probably one of the most famous post-colonial works of all time. Right?
yes.
It's what post-colonial scholars like to look at. There's nothing post-colonial about this story that I can tell. Like, why The Tempest? Like, if there's some reason I'm missing, it's so subtle as to be non-existent.
Well, I thought it was the relation. It's what they do with it. It's the riffing that they do, like the relationship between Ariel, the kind of enslaved spirit, and Prospero.
Prospero, yeah.
Prospero.
Yeah.
Yay! I remember the name. Good.
But also, I think they were kind of alluding to it when which I don't think we talked about, when you go into the room, the art, like the drama room, I guess, and they like ask you like, oh, do you think it's true love between, I forget the character's name, so it's not as good as Gino, sorry, or if it's just them being young and naive. And they're like, it's true love. And I think that's more what they were getting at.
Do Romeo and Juliet. Do Midsummer's Night's Dream.
Exactly
So
do
Romeo and Juliet.
Othello. Do like any number of other Shakespearean romances.
Just not one of the Henrys.
Yeah, don't do any of the history plays.
Let me throw this
Hamlet.
past you, Pete. Could it be The Tempest because Tempest is a storm and this is Life is Strange Before the Storm? Is this a prequel to Life is
That's-
Strange.
If we were going to make the argument, that's the strongest one.
Mm.
But I still hate it, and I'm not happy to complain.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
especially because this
Yeah.
is dead on, like Romeo and Juliet, just
Mhm.
Juliet and Juliet.
Well, not really, because, well, one, I want to say, I think that's right on. Like, the Rachel being the person who sets off the storm. Like, Prospero is basically who orchestrates the crash, right? That gets everyone on the island.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that's a dead-on reading. That's probably what they were going for, and I'm sorry, Pete, if that hurts you. But second, it's not really Romeo and Juliet, because Romeo and Juliet, they're supposed to be at equal power level on rival factions, but Prospero literally has Ariel enslaved. And even when they're riffing, the riff is not like, I'll set you free like Aladdin and Genie, and then they're just going to pal around because they both choose it. Rachel is like, nah, I'm going to own you forever, but we'll, like, go on adventures.
So our options are either there's no connection, or Rachel's a horrible person, just like I suspected from the very beginning.
I mean, that's probably
basically
true.
Okay, I'm happy. Yeah, all right, I'm happy with that second interpretation. That's fine with me then.
Yeah, because Chloe's like, yeah, I'm down for being your servant forever. That sounds good. That sounds like purpose, and I need that. I need structure.
So sad.
Oof.
Poor Chloe.
Yeah, she's got it bad.
Mm-hmm.
She's got it so bad, and they'd known each other for like 2 days.
Yeah, this is literally the second day.
Yes.
Like, I feel like we need to reiterate that as much as possible. Like, this entire game happens within the span of, I think, 3 days.
And so much happens.
So much happens. They get so close for no good reason.
Not for no good reason.
Okay, like, yes, I understand the infatuation part.
Yeah.
But they, like, tell each other things that they have never told anyone else, and they just met.
Maybe
I
I
understand instant friendships,
mean-
but, like, a little exaggerated.
Do you think we've forgotten what it's like to be teens?
I think y'all have.
Like, I
I
don't
think
remember
so.
doing this.
I would say, from my own teenage experience, I do recognize some of that, like,
Okay.
just hitting it off with one person in a really close span of time. So I don't think it's that strange. I think this game, like, really lays it on thick, though.
Yeah, I mean, have y'all never been to summer camp? Or,
Yeah, right?
No.
Like, anything like... Okay, yeah, because those are just, like, microcosms, and all these relationships that spring up in, like, a week or two and last maybe a month, and then everyone leaves.
I was gonna say, but how long lasting are these relationships that go from like 0 to 100?
I mean, as far as I know, every single boy had a girlfriend who's from Canada, so...
I think that's the next question, right? Do any of these camp friends ever abscond in a, basically stolen truck?
I
mean,
none of the ones I ever
didn't.
met.
Yeah.
Well, who's to say?
But they were from Canada, so that's really far away to get a
It's
truck.
a whole other thing.
It's harder
so
when it's long distance.
I think them being very open, because Rachel very clearly has a lot of acquaintances, but not a lot of friends because she's so popular. And Chloe doesn't have a lot of friends because her only friend left, and she's been kind of thrashing about, pushing people away constantly.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like she has more friends than she gives herself credit for.
Yeah.
So I feel like she's
Yeah.
friendly with Mikey and Steph. She's friendly with Justin. She's friendly with Skip, which, by the way, when I first saw Skip, I thought it was an option to skip school. Not that was the guy's name. Just a small tidbit. So I was like, I'll ignore that. And then I went back and I was like, oh, that's a person. But yeah, so she has people. She just doesn't recognize that, like, she doesn't have the intensity with them that she had with Max or that she finds with Rachel.
Why is Rachel so lonely?
Because she's a teen.
Yeah.
No one understands her.
Yeah, but like she's very clearly popular. She's very clearly doing well. Like, why is it the case that she needs Chloe to fill so much of a void in her life?
it seemed like Rachel, at least from her conversation with Chloe up until this point, she has this persona that she puts on at school of the perfect student and with her perfect life with her parents, but she's feeling all of these emotions that none of her other friends seem to validate or identify with. And she basically says, like, everyone around me is so fake, and Chloe, you're real. Like, you will call me on bullshit, you will talk to me about serious things in a way that none of the other people around me will. And, you know, you see all these other people she's hanging out with, like Victoria Chase and the other people in the play all suck.
Yeah.
That just makes me a little uncomfortable. That, like, that's the basis for Rachel seeking out Chloe.
I also think it's part teenage rebellion.
Yeah.
It's like they meet in a very, like, we're going to go to this abandoned building that's definitely a drug den and see a concert after sneaking in and fighting drug dealers.
It just seems like Rachel's infatuation with Chloe is based on Chloe as archetype as opposed to Chloe as person. Like, Rachel was seeking out, quote unquote, the bad girl, and she settled on Chloe. Now, it might have developed further than that over the incredible 2 days they spent together, but it seemed to start as archetype.
Well, yeah. I
Yeah.
think Rachel says as much. She says she was planning on, like, she didn't just hop that train to hop that train. She hopped that train to get to the park because she thought her dad was doing something. And she figured the only person who might be able to go with her is Chloe because Chloe ditches school all the time.
Yeah. I don't like that.
Yeah. I mean, it was not the most noble of origins, but go ahead, Em.
Everyone's kind of got their own agendas, and Rachel has she was trying to spy on her father and needed someone to, like, be her wing person, I guess, and it just developed from there. I don't. It's very teenage. I need to find a scapegoat, I guess, if I get in trouble for this, which she kind of does the next day. I don't know. It's weird. There's a whole psychological aspect to this game that is just concerning on multiple levels.
I also feel like Chloe has now taken over the role that Max had in the original game. Because I feel like in the original game, Max was very much, like, there for Chloe, but Chloe wasn't, like, didn't give much attention to Max and didn't, like, really concern with her feelings or, like, she was very selfish with Max. And I feel like Rachel is very selfish with Chloe, and Chloe has fallen into that kind of support character. Which it's interesting to see how the dynamics switch based on, like, the more domineering character in the relationship.
But I think it's also a matter of which character is more emotionally stable and capable of taking on more emotional weight. Because Chloe, like Rachel, even though she's got a fairly stable home life, she has no way or framework to deal with what her father has done. And I think we're going to see that in the scene that comes up right after the play. Whereas Chloe, having been through the loss of her father, like, she's still dealing with it, and it's you know, rippling throughout her life. But having been through it, like, a few years out, she's much more emotionally mature.
Is she?
Hey, than Rachel.
I mean,
she has a strategy. Her strategy is, like,
burn it down.
Needless rebellion and, like, surliness. I mean, I guess a strategy, as counterproductive as it is better than no strategy.
Yeah, like, Rachel, when finding out that her father was maybe cheating on her mom, burned half of, like, Oregon. That was her response. Like, in comparison to that, Chloe taking a baseball bat to a bunch of garbage in a junkyard is very responsible.
Yeah, her graffiti's just quaint and sort of, you know, harmless.
Quirky.
well, with that, like, way of measuring it, then pretty much any sane reaction that doesn't result in a forest fire would be fine.
Not fine, but like it's more emotionally grounded than what Rachel's dealing with right now, or how Rachel is operating. Whereas in the next game, Max is kind of in a stable home, like doing well at school. She's got all of this stuff, and Chloe
Got
is
time travel powers.
Yeah.
she's got time traveling powers. She's got that time rewind and potion that don't run out.
Yeah,
Unless
and-
you're trying to save someone from jumping off a building.
yeah, right.
And Chloe is kind of emotionally destroyed because the person who she's cared about the most is now gone.
Mhm.
So let's move on to, I
Ooh.
guess, Rachel's house. So before you go to Rachel's house after the play, there's a big decision. Chloe and Rachel are riding high from their amazing joint feature on the stage. They're riffing. They had so much chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
And
All the chemistry.
Chloe basically tries to convince Rachel, hey, if you're serious about us running away together, we need to actually do this shit because my life is fucked, and the idea of you just play acting this would fucking suck.
Yeah.
Like, I'm giving up a lot, and you're giving up very little. So I need to believe that you're with me in this. And you can choose several options for how Rachel should prove her loyalty.
Yeah,
All
this
of
is-
which are weird.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all super dangerous, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
these sort of like relationships where like teens egg each other on, and like it's like we're in this together to the very end. Like, this is how bad shit happens.
Yeah.
I don't know what options you saw, but I didn't see a blood in, blood out option.
It was implied.
I mean, the options were like, could you give me one of your bracelets? Could we promise to get a tattoo? Or could you kiss me?
Mhm.
Right. I'm just saying, as a structure,
Yes.
this isn't great.
Oh yeah.
I know, but it's not like, you're going to go up into a car and then flash your brights, and if anyone, does a thing, you're going to kill them.
It's not like we need to murder my dad. Yeah, that'll prove it.
Now we can run away. Yeah, so did anyone not pick Smooch?
Nah, I went.
No.
No, I looked at each of them. I kind of like would go back to the last save because I wanted to see all the options. And we don't have those time travel powers anymore, so I had to like go through the whole conversation again. But as much as, because I didn't want to say kiss because I wanted that to come up naturally. Like, I didn't want their first kiss to be like, oh, so if you want to prove that you're actually going to run away with me, you need to make out with me first.
Right.
Mhm.
Like, I felt like that was not a great way to start their physical relationship.
That's a
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's like the most beautiful scene
Mhm.
between them. Like, it's like the other scenes are like eh. And like, it's clearly like you're supposed to pick the kiss
Yes.
option.
Mhm.
Because that scene with them together is like really nice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, taking one of her bracelet, like all of the other things were either very permanent or seemed like taking something very personal from her, whereas up until this point they've basically been flirting nonstop, and it seemed like after going up on stage and basically saying, I will enslave you with my love, like Rachel goes down on one knee
Mhm.
on the stage.
It seemed like smooching time.
Yeah. It was Smooch O'Clock. Or Snog O'Clock for our English listeners.
Mhm.
So after that, you ride high, and then you go to Rachel's house because Rachel is going to get a pack-a-go bag, and she's going to run away with you to California or wherever you say. But when you get there, you do not manage to sneak in successfully. You are caught by her dad.
The
They're right
dick.
there.
Yeah, and they insist, the Ambers insist that you stay for dinner.
Mhm.
So Rachel goes upstairs to get her things, and Chloe kind of is left downstairs helping set up everything for the dinner.
She sets the table.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can set the table. Did anyone blow up at Mr. Amber on first opportunity?
Oh, I wish.
No, I think I sort of waited it out.
Yeah,
There wasn't a blow up till dinner. Was there an option for an earlier one?
There were times where you could say, like, he
Yeah.
would talk to you about, like, being immoral or something, and you could, like, throw it back in his face, it seemed like.
Mhm.
I don't know.
I didn't make a scene before I needed to make a scene.
I would be interested to know what those dialogue trees were like, though. I might go back and just, like, try it out just to see.
Yeah, and this was also one of the situations where there were places Chloe could graffiti, and I was just like, Chloe, I'm not going to have you fucking blow this.
I said let's blow this shit out of water.
It's not even going to be like, who did this? Like, it's going to be very obvious.
Yeah, I'm going to fucking graffiti, like, I think one of them was, like, the calendar on their fridge.
Yeah.
Like, who... We know who did it, Chloe.
There was a picture of the dad, and
Yeah.
she just like put like devil horns on him. I was like, subtle, very subtle.
I mean, accurate, but
Yeah.
responsible.
I'm the district attorney. Who drew devil horns on me?
It could have been anyone.
And the
was
the
just-
thought bubble that says I love farts. That's just not right. Oh man, but what did you think of the dad? Like his character model and voice acting
My
might
God.
be the standouts of this
The
game.
whole thing was just very, it was like talking to two robots between him and his wife.
Yeah, but the wife I think at least could blink.
Yeah. His model, I'm looking at it now, and it's just very strange compared to anyone else in the game.
Well, you know,
He's
life
so-
is strange.
Aha.
Fuck.
See what you did.
God damn it.
That's
Yep.
what it's about all along. Yeah,
Well-
most of the voice acting, we haven't talked about it at all up until this point, but this game was made during the Voice Acting Guild's strike, or like the Actors Guild strike. So a lot of the voice acting, I think all of the voice acting was done by scabs, by replacement actors. And for the most part, they did a good job.
Yeah,
Like,
it's fun.
Except
Chloe-
for him.
the Chloe
Yeah.
voice
Sorry.
is so close.
Yeah.
It was impressive. But him, he's a problem.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
All the serious things he said, I just couldn't stop laughing because of the delivery. It was so bad. I'm sorry.
It's awful.
Yeah. He couldn't really ride the line between emoting and being a stone object. So
Yeah.
which is a shame.
Mm.
So you get to
Especially in
dinner.
his last line.
Oh, I would like to say
Go ahead.
the whole leading up to dinner part, Chloe has some of the best lines probably in the whole series.
Trying to riff
just-
with the mom.
Yeah, and they're just like, it's so awkward, but it's so in character for her, and she doesn't know what to do with this whole environment.
Yeah, it is.
It's hilarious.
It's very on brand. Like
Yeah, I have.
when her
go
mom's
ahead.
like, "Will you light the candles?" and she's like, "The lighter's over." It's like, "Nope, got
I
my
have
own."
one.
Don't-
Yeah.
Like, Chloe, can you
What
be
you
just
doing?
cool for 1 second?
Yeah.
Oh, you're so prepared, Chloe.
Mhm.
Like a scout.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
why.
So you make your way to dinner, and it is tense.
It
let's
goes
say.
swimmingly.
There are multiple occasions where the dad is kind of talking about, like, Chloe, you seem like a delinquent. And other things.
He's super subtle.
I feel like I should protect my daughter from you. And he's eventually, like, you can try and be friendly, and at a certain point he will just accuse you of being a delinquent, and he says you shouldn't hang out with his daughter anymore. And then Rachel, I tried to calm her down. Apparently you can initiate the drama.
Yeah.
Did anyone initiate the drama?
Yeah, it's a backtalk option, I think.
Yeah.
But I
It
didn't.
seemed like the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't do it.
Felt like
back
it
talk.
wasn't my place.
What happens if you backtalk him?
Eventually, Rachel jumps in.
Yeah.
Give me some.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
I tried to defuse the situation as much as I could.
Oh, no.
And Rachel still jumps in.
Yeah.
No.
She says, "Hold my wine," and then at a certain point, her father is just being insufferable, so she picks up a salad bowl and crashes it through their glass table, and says, basically, "Dad, I saw you cheating on Mom. What the fuck? Don't tell my girlfriend shit."
Yeah, she shatters the whole table, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
She's strong.
explodes. It's
Her
incredible.
and property destruction is just like 2 peas in a pod.
She's got 15-year-old strength.
Mhm.
It's a teenage love.
Mm.
So basically she forces her dad to come clean, and he says, actually, it turns out your mom's not your mom. The woman I was kissing in the park was your biological mother.
Yes.
And I was doing it because of nostalgia?
Yeah, like his wife is remarkably like cool with the whole deal.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't interject at any point.
Well, at one point I asked her, and she said that after 13 years of marriage, I'm not threatened by someone like her anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not threatened by that. Like, maybe you should be a little.
Yeah.
Bring it up.
Slightly,
Yeah.
maybe.
Maybe you should be threatened just by the DA himself.
Yeah. He seems pretty threatening.
Mm.
He's not a people.
Also, that's not her father. He's a robot. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
There are a lot of twists.
Yep.
Yeah, so we find out that Rachel's mom is a heroin addict, and her addiction basically meant that she was constantly putting Rachel in jeopardy when she was a baby, and the DA could not deal with it anymore. And so he left Rachel's mom, married again someone who he thought would be a fitting mother, and then basically raised Rachel by protecting her from any and all crime.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
and
But
creating a
also,
perfect little
I feel
bubble.
I feel like when he was describing her mother, I was like, oh, that's Rachel.
Yeah.
Because it's like she was very engaging and everyone
Yeah.
loved her and she was beautiful, but she always had the need for something else and to get away and to escape. And I was like, oh, okay. So now I see where she gets it.
Makes perfect
Yeah.
sense now.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And so it is.
And I was
a-
like,
it
you're
is-
also doing this very heavy-handedly.
I just wanted him to say she was like fire.
Oh.
She was beautiful but dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
She was a
loved the
storm.
Tempest. Yeah. Her favorite Shakespeare play was The Tempest. Prospero was her favorite.
That doesn't have much to do with this, but I want you to know.
Yeah. So basically, after that moment, it shatters Rachel's world. And I think maybe we should pick up from here on a part 2, because this podcast has been going on forever.
Yeah.
Right.
And this game is pretty darn long, and we have, I think, we have barely even said our takes
Yeah.
on like the overall game.
There's
and
a
we're-
lot going on in the third part.
Yeah, we're like 2 hours in already, so
Yeah.
we'll pick up from the aftermath of Rachel's house in a part 2. So
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for that, and thank you. This game, I thought we would get through it faster, but
Yeah, me too.
it's denser than the first game, I think.
There's
Yeah.
a lot to unpack.
I mean, we've
I mean,
had
the
multiple
first
episodes
one
with the
took
first one, too.
3 podcasts.
Wow,
Oh, yeah,
really?
This one's just
It did.
2.
Damn.
First one's a lot longer though.
Yeah.
That's true. So we will pick this up at a second part, a part 2 of Life is Strange Before the Storm. So it'll be the very, very end of episode 2 and the beginning of
No, we're already in episode.
we're already, yeah, so we'll
Yes.
be
Yeah,
picking
yeah.
up basically at episode 3.
The last
I
part
forgot that.
of episode 2 was, she is your mother.
Dun,
Dun,
dun.
Yeah.
Right.
And then cue music.
My
Yep.
bad. I thought that was the end of... I
Cue
forgot that this-
pisshead.
Oh, man. What if all the soundtrack was Pisshead?
Also,
Great point, Pete.
the music has been amazing.
Yeah.
Like, it's
This whole
very,
series.
yeah, it
Strong
works
both
so
games.
well.
Look it up
Yeah.
on Spotify. The playlists are very good.
Daughter, I think, did this one,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but they're
That's
very
all
good.
Yeah, so we will be back with a part 2. That'll be our next podcast episode, mainline podcast episode. And just a reminder, yet again, the Giant Bomb Community Endurance Run will be running from April 12th to 14th. You can check it out. We've got a whole bunch of features that are happening. You can donate at fundraise.pencilsofpromise.org/GBCERIX. We're trying to raise $10,000 for Pencils of Promise, so go ahead, get in there, make some donations to make Pete teach us about bad things.
Yes, yes.
So thank
The
you.
dream.
And remember, you can also write into the show at DeepListensPod on Twitter, deeplistens@libsyn.com. We've got our comment sections, and deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you, Pete.
Always a pleasure. Make sure you tune in the next one. If you thought my Tempest takes were hot, things are just going to get hotter.
Thank
Shut
you,
up.
M.
Is that a fire pun, Pete?
It is.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course, and thank you, Noelle.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's fun to be back.
Excellent. When we come back, part 3 of Life
Nope.
is Strange Before the Storm.
Try that
Until
again.
next time,
Same one.
peace. One take, only one take. Till next time, peace.